Hey, welcome back to TML Weekly, Season 2, Episode 14. We're missing Nolan tonight, who's a little under the weather, so just got John and myself. We're going to talk about the week that was, what's happening in Leafland and around the NHL, and as always, thanks to our sponsors, Bjorn Hockey and Don Cherry Sports Grill. How was your week?
You know what, Johnny? I had a pretty good week. I'm not complaining at all. Had my daughter goes to the University of Guelph, and so I don't know if you're up on the health disaster at the University of Guelph right now with the Norvo virus that's ripping through that place. Oh man! Wow. So she came home. I'm not complaining. Anytime I get her home for an extra week, it's a bonus. So she was at home. We brought her back yesterday. So
was the campus shut down, or like?
No, campus isn't shut down, but you know, when I tell you, everybody's sick. Like it's just one of those things. It's just when you're that close confines, right? It just rips through when you get something like that. So they're having a rough time up there, but she's back at her like a champ. So
good.
Yeah, man. So what about you? How was the hockey weekend? I heard.
Good. You know, Jack's team played Antigonish and played some good, real good hockey. They were 5-0. Or 4-0 in the round robin. Ended up playing a tough Truro team in the semi and won 3-2, and then played Antigonish, the hometown team, in the final, and they came out strong. We're up 3-0, and our kids battled back 3-3, and you know we threw everything but the kitchen sink at them in the third, and their goalie was fantastic. So silver medal, but you know the kids worked and. You know, got better, and you know, looking forward to the next one. I think it's Charlottetown in a few weeks.
Right on.
So, talking about the Leafs here, we got you know a little bit of a stumble on the weekend. So, since we were here, there was how many games? Three. Yeah. So what were they?
It was not good. We had we eked out both those Flyers games.
Right.
Then we got spanked in Carolina and lifeless against Van City. So,
yeah, and I didn't see much of either of those games, to be honest with you. So
they were very tough watches. Outside of the first 5 minutes of that Carolina game, I think we were up 2-0, 5 minutes in, and we also hit a post and a crossbar or something. So it could have been 4 sheets, easy, no problem. So outside of that, by the time that you know you got into about 15 minutes to go in the first again in that Carolina game, we've looked just I don't know if it's tired, I don't know if it's frustrated, I don't know if it's unorganized, I don't know if it's all of the above and twice on the weekend. But right now it is not a comfortable time in Leafland. And going into tonight where Dallas has won 7 of their last 8 and look like they are rounding into the team, to quote Herm Edwards, the team that we all thought they were. Dallas looks great right now, and I'm a little uneasy going into this one tonight, Johnny. How about you?
Well, I'm just looking at the schedule here. Been a little bit out of the loop, but yeah, it's a tough week. I mean, you got Dallas.
We could go 0 for this week, no problem.
You got Jersey. Montreal's playing the best hockey they've played all year.
Very quietly in the playoffs.
And then you got Tampa. You know, so yeah, it's one of those weeks where you can, you know, either make a big step towards the playoffs or a big stumble towards the playoffs. And if you look, I was kind of looking this afternoon. If you look at what's happening in the NHL right now, especially in the Eastern Conference, right? You've had Toronto, Florida, Tampa,
forever,
and Boston. Kind of, you know, between the 4 of them, 3 of them have been in, and then you know Washington, Jersey, and Carolina are pretty locked on that other side. But then, I mean, you know, the wild card. If you look at it, the wild card in the East, so Boston's in the first spot at 47. Columbus is in the second spot at 46. Then you've got Ottawa 45, Detroit, Montreal, and Pittsburgh at 44, Philly 43, Rangers 42, and Islanders 41. And really, Buffalo at 37 are only 10 points out, right? They're out of it,
but they're not out of it.
Right. right? I mean, it's going to be tough on Buffalo, obviously, because all those teams in between. But any of those teams into number 9, the New York Islanders, and New York Islanders and Montreal, like some of them have 42 games played, and some 45. Like it's wide open in the East right now.
But so listen. So that brings, I think at this point at time of the season, especially when we're looking at the Maple Leafs, and I think after 43, 44 games, we all recognize with this team, if you go back to, listening to us from the start of the season, we were already convinced that the team that we go into the playoffs with is not going to be the team we start the season with.
Yeah.
However, something has changed here. And what's changed here is there are a lot of teams that are still, just like you highlighted, Johnny, that are right there. This is really going to affect the trade deadline on who's
it's gonna thin the market, and
that's right, 100%.
A lot of money, a lot of overpayment to get the guy that you need at this point.
And so the question then becomes, he who acts first is king.
Yeah.
So if you know what your deficiencies are, Brad Treliving, at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, do you know what they are, and are you going to do something? And if you're going to do something with everybody on the push, I don't know that you can wait, because especially when you look at these teams like Columbus and Montreal, they've all got young picks and young players to spare, right? From years of not being there. And if they get close and they think that they can get in, even if they're going to get slaughtered in round 1, you know as well as I do, man, you just got to get into that dance and anything can happen.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you're right, a lot of those teams have the assets necessary to make a move. I mean, some of the regular, I heard today that Ryan O'Reilly's definitely gonna be moved out of Nashville. He doesn't have any protection, but they're treating it like he does. So they're out of respect, to the veteran player and the good guy that Ryan is, even though he didn't have a no trade clause, they're basically not going to move him unless he okays that move. So that's going to be to a contender, right? He's not going to agree to go to, somebody that's going to squeak into the playoffs at the last minute. So I see that as always, we've talked about it before, that's always going to be there. An interesting one that came up today is your old buddy, John Klingberg. He had surgery. And apparently, as per the rumor mill, looks really, really good. Has been working out excessively. So he's linked right now to 3, possibly 4 Canadian teams. So you've got Toronto is in. He's skating in Toronto. Edmonton, Ottawa are the 3. And then Vancouver has some peripheral interest.
So listen. I look at John Klingberg in the exact same breath that I look at Matt Murray. It is a fantastic human interest story. If John Klingberg makes his way back to the show, good on John Klingberg, 100%.
So do you not bring him in on a league min?
Not a chance. And here's why. Here's why, though. John Klingberg was arguably the worst defensive defenseman in the NHL over the last 3 years. He was unplayable in Dallas in the playoffs, unplayable. He played power play time in the playoffs and then couldn't get a regular shift. I don't know how many defensemen who get older coming off injuries magically go from the worst to serviceable. I haven't seen that happen too often. So
yeah, I'd look at it. I'd look at anything. I wouldn't bring him in to be in my 6, but. I would definitely look at that. The 3C, I think, is a big one. Just some depth all the way through, I think is well,
listen, I think
kind of guy.
What's funny? I was actually this afternoon, I was going through and I was looking at our roster and I thought, here we have Bobby McMahon. Bobby McMatthews is on pace for 30 goals, right? Matthew Nyes, he's on pace for 30 goals. Nylander's on pace for 50. Tavares is on pace for 40. If you look, are the guys who are supposed to be leading, they're leading. I mean, aside from the savior, but I mean, he's had some injury problems and whatnot. I have no concerns there long term. But once you get past McMatthews and Nyes out of the big four, there's nothing. The drop off is titanic. And, I'm not going to beat on Max Domi. I've done it enough. But there's too many passengers on that third line and below every night. That fourth line, like we roll it out. We're rolling with Steven Lorentz on the first line tonight. And listen, God love him. They're trying something different. And I'm with Berube on this. You got to try something different or something different. I'm totally fine, on a one-off trying these things and seeing if you can get a bit of a spark. I'm okay with that. Lorentz is, nobody's kidding anybody that Lorentz is a regular first-line hockey player. But you know what? Good for him. Give him a shot up there. See if you can get a jump for a couple of games. See if you can get a spark for a couple of games that gets everybody going. I'm fine by that. But listen, if you're Domi, if you're Holmberg, if you're Camp, if you're Reeves, if you're Robertson, if you take your pick of whoever else you want to insert there, we can't continue to have passengers on those third and fourth line. It's going to kill us eventually. And I think what you're starting to see is, especially with the power play struggles that we have, when those big guys don't go, we got nothing. And that's, as we get into the playoffs, man, that's going to be concerning.
Oh, for sure. And I still think, right? I mean, there's certain positions. I think the only thing that Toronto probably doesn't need to look at this point, but maybe they do, is the goaltending. Everything else, yeah, if the right deal was there, you see a player, bottom six, middle nine, top six that is affordable, that you think is going to fit in with the group, you got to look at it at this point. But it's all gonna play out here, and one of these teams that hasn't been in by the looks of things,
somebody's going to get into the dance. Yeah,
the Ottawas and the Montreals of the world and the Columbuses are knocking on the door.
And Johnny, don't kid yourself. As long as Sidney Crosby's there, they're buying.
Yeah, for sure.
They're buying. Yeah. So and you know what? If Crosby,
he'd be a dangerous guy to get in the first round out of 1-8.
Yeah, you would not want that deal. You would not want that deal. So listen, let's get back to the Leafs just quickly on a couple of things. I want to get your thought pattern on. It looks as though tonight we're going to run a 5-forward power play again. Now, listen, I said this, if you go back to when Mark Savard was hired, I said I was trepidatious because of the performance in Calgary. And then we went, yeah, but Calgary didn't really have a lot there. And, there's only so many things you can do on a power play. And, so that's probably not Savard. He's probably coaching them the right way. Just didn't have the functionality or the workhorses.
Right.
I mean, here we are now. And I mean, we're on regression on regression. And like now we're resorting to 5 forwards on the power play. I guess my question to you, from a coaching perspective, let's forget about it from a Maple Leafs perspective. As a coach, if you're rolling out 5 guys that are legit quality forward players, what are the pros and what are the cons to that you see on a regular basis to doing this?
Yeah, and it's something that I've experimented with, 1D, 2D. I've had 3D on the power play and 2 forwards if I had the right D, and you got one of the bigger guys in front of the net. And but I mean, the pros obviously is you're gonna, with this group for sure, is you're gonna get your most skilled guys at moving the puck and getting the puck to the net and finding seams, and obviously the cons are when the puck gets turned over. Cons usually would be when the puck gets turned over and there's an odd man rusher. or even a one-on-one rush, right? Coming down, do you really want that guy going in on one of your forwards? Well, I think Toronto's, I think, I start to, imagine who's at the back end, and it's usually Marner or Matthews. They both skate well. They both defend well. They both have good sticks. I'm okay with it. I really am at certain times of the game. And it depends on the score. It depends on
for
how
sure.
you're playing going into that power play, because a shorthanded goal can really, really set a group back, even if you're playing really, really well. So if I'm, I would look at it on a case by case basis, right? So if my team's pushing, we're playing real well. It's nothing. We get a power play, but we're really, we're out shooting them 2-1, or, just getting a little bit of puck luck. I'm probably less apt to go with 5 at that point, just based on the fact that I don't want to give that one up, right? I don't want to give that first one up because we're maybe getting a little greedy, if the guys are playing the right way. Whereas, if we're, down 2-0, or even up 2-0, there's times what you might want to get that dagger in, or really throw a Hail Mary and try to get it. So I'm okay with them trying it. You got to get the puck to the net, and you got to get opportunities, and whatever you think, as a coach at the, coaches can look like absolute heroes, and they can look like absolute goats for one simple decision. And, if it works out, they look great. If it doesn't, they don't look great. I respect a coach that's not afraid to make those moves and try the things, and the way that analytics are kept and stats are kept in this day and age. He'll know what his percentages are, with 5, with 4, with these 4, with this D, or that kind of thing. So I'm not panicking at all. You drop a couple games there, and they just have to.
I think I don't think that the word panic is the right word, but I think if you're not concerned, I don't think you're paying attention, because like when I'm watching this team, I always look at it as, if you're moving the puck on the power play, you're moving the puck effectively so you can get a good shot. And I feel like, I've seen so often, we seem to move the puck so we can move the puck. And it's like the shot is there. It's a good high value shot, but they're looking to make the extra pass for the perfect shot and passing up the really good shot. And so like that to me is a problematic. And I'm going to sound like a little bit of a dinosaur here. But half the time, like, when was the last time you saw the Maple Leafs throw the puck back to a blue line defenseman and just have him rip one? I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw it.
Yeah, it's
and like
part of their arsenal right now for sure.
And so like, I don't know. Maybe they don't think Riley's got the shot. Maybe they don't think OEL had the shot. I mean, last year
it's not about the shot anymore either, right? Like, let's face it, it's about
everybody can shoot the puck now. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, it's about the traffic. It's about the risk and the reward. I saw it a few times this weekend in my son's tournament, where old school power play, you move it to the middle, you crash the net, and you have the guy bomb. Well, kids are so, and NHL players, everybody is so in tune with where they need to be compared to what it was 25 years ago, that there's not those openings anymore, right? So a lot of times that you get that puck maybe off the wall, off the half wall guy, and you start to walk the line towards the middle. Those two top guys on the box
right in.
collapse, right? They're going to come in. So the play is actually not to shoot that puck. The play is to go back down either to the half wall guy, or swing and hit the guy on the other side.
Cross
it to the bumper, right? So it's you have to adapt a little bit more. It's got to be more those cross seam passes with the one timer are not from the blue line, from the dots, from the OV spot, and where Matthews likes, over on the other side. being a left shot. Those are the high percentage goals now. They really are. What makes me crazy, and I love, when Matthews is set up on his dot, or Ovi, Stamkos, the right shot from that dot, they made their living on it. I love that. What I don't love is when and it's not these guys that do it. It's usually the second power play unit, and you'll have a guy, it could be Domi or Nyes or somebody like that is even closer to the corner from that dot, and they try that shot from there, and it's not usually even on a one time. They're just going to come in and walk out from the corner and take that puck, leaves the zone 95%
of the time. 100% it does. Yeah.
Right. So I would rather see you just throw it on the ice to the front of the net than try that big rip short side, because it's just going to it's gone, right? And then you got to regroup and you got to come back in. So
listen, Grapes has always said, if you put the puck on net, good things will happen. I've yet to see that proven wrong over the years.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's an interesting time right now, because how long's the break and when's the break? Do you know when that is?
I don't even know. I think we're a couple of weeks away though. Like we're a ways away still.
It's February. I know. I know they're planning the 15th.
Yes, I mean, like that's a full month away from right. Where we are now.
We probably have 8, 10, 12 games left before. That's going to be an interesting time. Okay, and I don't know if there's a trade freeze during that. I haven't read that. Usually there is not. I'm wondering if that's going to be your unofficial deadline, depending on where all these teams that I mentioned in an earlier segment, where all these teams are in a month after 10 more games. Now you're going to be able to kind of figure out buyers and sellers, hopefully a little bit more. And I think somebody's going to make a move between now and then that's going to set the market right for a puck
100%,
or a top 6 forward, or whatever it is, if you will. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. There's going to be some real good hockey played in February, obviously at that event. That's going to be fun as a little bit of a preview to the Olympics.
Now here, let me ask you this question, because I'll be honest, the things that I've heard, while everybody's excited, like I shouldn't say everybody's excited, I'm actually surprised at the amount of let's call it muted interest I've heard about this tournament. Now, this could be just people just spouting off, and then when it gets here, they're going to be dialed in and ready to go. But I'll be honest, I've heard a lot of people that are like, meh, cash grab by the NHL. It's not really best on best. It's like us 4, right? Like you could, if you wanted to have best on best, you got to have the checks. You got.
They didn't say best on best. They're doing it. And for sure, it's a cash grab. For sure, it's a way to appease the players. The players want to play for their country. I think they're appeasing really the Canada and the American ones. Obviously Finland and Swedes are there, but there's what we talked about last week. There's a lot of good players that aren't going to be there, so you can't call it best on best. I think it's going to be real good hockey. I think you got a lot of guys that grew up watching their national teams compete at the Olympics.
No, don't misunderstand. I'm not talking about. I'm not saying the hockey's not going to be good, and I'm not saying that the players aren't dialed up.
Yeah, people are going to complain about everything, John. It doesn't matter.
No, I know. I just think
it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah,
it's going to be a tournament when Italy's in it. Well, they're the host.
No, I don't think anybody's quite outraged that Italy's not in it.
Yeah.
But
next year they'll be. I'm saying the argument would be the other way. Oh, you got to go. Why are we playing Italy at the Olympics? Well, because they're hosting.
Yeah,
I've already heard that. Why? Well, that's stupid. Why would Italy be there?
Because they're trying to sell tickets in Italy. Yeah,
they're hosting the Olympics. Yeah. South Korea was in Seoul.
God love it. But like I'll be honest. I've been a little surprised through the discussions that I've had with people about I don't want to call it a malaise, but just the general lack of, sure. Like that, it's honestly kind of surprised me, only because we haven't seen Crosby and everybody else in the jersey for so long. I would have thought that it would be a feverish pitch, and I'm just surprised that I haven't seen that. That's all. That's
the superstars in the league. most of the superstars in the league have never done this.
No, but that's my whole point here, though.
Yeah.
But that's exactly my whole point, though, is that I would have thought that this coming up would have, if you're a hockey guy, you'd be dialed to 12, ready to watch this and ready to go.
I'm not. I'm a hockey guy, and I'm not dialed to 12. We've obviously talked about the rosters, and
selection, and all that good jazz, which is fun.
I'll watch the games, but I'm not going to be,
That's what I mean. You're not brokenhearted. If Canada doesn't win, you're not losing sleep at night, right?
Like, I'll enjoy watching some good hockey games, right? Period. That's about it. I'm not going to be, out beeping my horn and driving around if Canada wins the Four Nation Cup. So,
right. No, exactly.
Them or the Americans should. One of them, should absolutely smash the Swedes and the Finns, and
unless Yanni Hakanpää's playing,
though, right? They seem to play better. They seem to gel quicker than the North American teams in these tournaments, because they're, most of them have played, whether it's U18 or U20 or, on some, they put anyone that are available to them, they will go to the World Championships, where a lot of Canadians and Americans won't.
I'm just saying, would it not be the Maple Leafs' luck? Like Yanni Hakanpää shows up, becomes Bobby Orr for 2 weeks, leads Finland to the championship, comes back and blows out his knee in his first game with the Leafs. Like, I just feel like that would be so on brand for us.
Yeah. No, I hear you. You know what? I'm just looking forward to the last, couple of months here. All the jockeying that's going to happen for position and hierarchy. A lot of times, I can't remember very many times that the 2 or 3 teams that just went all in and did everything but the kitchen sink at the deadline, and then came up short. Most of the time, that's what happens, right?
100%.
So, hopefully Treliving, and he's a smart guy. I think he's, he gets good advice. He's surrounded by good people. I think, don't make a move for the sake of making a move, but, have some depth. Bring in, this is a good hockey club. If healthy, this is a real good hockey club. Best goal team that since, Cujo or Eddie Belfour, right? Consistently.
But the difference is, like, if we're going to be honest about it, though, it's been with Stolarz, it's been elite level goaltending.
Yeah.
The question is, unlike with Belfour and unlike with Joseph, can he play? Right? And who knows when he comes back from, because remember, at first it was a day-to-day thing. Then it was a pebble in his knee. Then it was 4 weeks. Now it's 6 weeks. I don't think we're going to see him till after Four Nations. And then you've got Wall, who, listen, I don't know that there's a Maple Leaf fan alive who does not like Joseph Wall. As a person, he's a great guy. And if you've ever, for those people that have never seen it, YouTube Joseph Wall playing the piano. The guy is unbelievable, just as a pure fun interest thing. But again, you're worried about, can Joe Wall hold up? Interesting. Here, actually, John, here's something I want to get your take on.
Yeah.
I have absolutely zero problem with Dennis Hildeby and the way he's played. I've heard very mixed things on him. He's not ready. Needs to have more seasoning. If Dennis Hildeby is your third goalie, do you have an issue?
Yeah.
You do have an issue if Dennis Hildeby is your third goalie.
Well, I mean, we talked about this about Martin last week. Like, if you got 5 guys and it's, who's up next? But if your third option, being Dennis Hildeby, has played less than 10 games at the National Hockey League level, it's concerning, right? If 2 guys go down and he's that guy, and he's got to, here you go, and that's yours, off you go, that's concerning.
Okay. Yeah. So then are we at the point where we want to grab an experienced third-tier goalie?
I mean, that's up to Treliving and the doctors.
I know it's up to Tree. I'm asking you, though.
It would depend on the health of my 4 guys, right? Throw Murray in there as well. Would Hildeby be an okay third option if you had a healthy Murray behind him? Yeah, maybe, right? But where's Stolarz? How's Woll? How are these guys?
Listen, I get it. You're not wrong in your assessment there.
That's how I would go about it, right? And if your comfort level is there with a Hildeby, I mean, they know him better than we do, right? They watch him in the American League. They know what his strengths and weaknesses are.
And you can't teach 6'7", John. I don't care. You can't teach 6'7".
Between the ears here now for me, and I've said this forever. If you're a starting goalie in major junior hockey at that speed and pace, you can play in the NHL if you have it between the ears, right? Because physically you can do all the things that an NHL goaltender has to do. But what makes the great goaltender or a good goaltender a great goaltender is between the ears, and that's being able to fight through some adversity, being able to let a bad one in and forget about it and save the next one, and have a couple of bad starts and they're running you out of town in the press, and you're the guy that comes out and throws up a 50 save shutout in overtime and beats Montreal on a Saturday night, and you know what I mean. Those are the guys that it's the mental side of it that you need. Also, a lot of times, and you never know during the regular season, and especially it seems with goalies, they keep a lot of stuff to themselves. We talked about the Matthews reporting too, that, same kind of thing. But are these goalies, would they be going if it was, the second round of the playoffs right now, right? And some of that is mental too. And, you want a guy that says, hey, shit, I just pulled something in my knee. I don't care. I'm not coming out. I'm good. I'm going to
give me a shot of cortisone. We'll go for it. Have a great time.
Yeah. So, do you have a guy like that? Is one of these four that we just discussed that guy he's not going to go down, right? He's going to fight his way through whatever the hell he has to, because he understands that the moment is here and now. And,
well, so then we already know that guy's not Joe Wall then, right? Based on last year, we already know that he's not that guy.
I don't know, because we don't know.
Because we still don't know what was wrong.
Right. And he could be. That could have been way more serious than any of us gave it credit for, right? But we'll see. That's what it's going to come down to is we'll see. And if Treliving doesn't believe that, and just take them in order. So obviously, if all four are healthy today, I would go in the order we just said. Stoli would be. He's earned it. Right, unless he comes back and and plays 500 hockey and not really doing what he was doing before he went down, he's the guy. And then you got Joe Wall in there, and I would agree with you. I'd put Hildeby in he'd be the next up. If heaven forbid those two go down, and then you got Murray. It is what it is. But if you get to him, and there's not too many fourth guys
that are better than Murray. That's a fair point. No, that's fair.
That have Stanley Cups and can have been there, I guess, right?
It's fair. If we get there, we got bigger problems, right? Like that's
if you get down to Murray you're in deep shit already. So the guys better be playing the right way in front of you, or you could be it could be.
Okay, so listen, we're getting close to game time here. I'd like to get us all out of here before so we can get. We got to hear. Is it Natalie Merchant? She's the one who does the anthem now. I've always been partial to Martina Luis Ortiz. I always liked her.
I liked her too.
I always liked she gets my vote. I'm in. So we've got here's what we got this week coming up. So we got Dallas tonight. Then we got Sheldon and the Communists. Then we got the Habs, and then we got Tampa. 4 tough games, Johnny. What do you see this week?
You know what? I got faith here. I don't think they're gonna run the table, but I think they're gonna get 7 out of 8 points.
Wow!
And Nolan said 5 out of 6, so he mustn't be counting the next Tuesday game.
So, I love your optimism. I applaud your optimism. I think it's a wonder. Hope is a wonderful emotion. I'm going to be the pessimistic guy here. I do not like the way we're playing right now at all. I think that we are in a funk. And right now, I have seen nothing that says against an elite team like Dallas, against an excellent regular season coach like Sheldon, and against a Montreal team that's always ready to play us. And then Tampa, who's always on, like, Tampa's just good. I'm calling a goose egg this week, Johnny. I think it's going to be a 4-game losing streak. I don't like saying it. I don't feel good about it, but based on what I've seen the last 2 games, I don't see us breaking out against either of these teams here. It worries me. I'm worried about this upcoming week. I don't think it's going to be a good one for us.
If that's the case, there's going to be some big major issues, because if you look at the teams that are surging, right, that would be 6 in a row that Toronto goes down. Montreal's won 8 of 9 or something like that.
And you understand my point, though. This is a massive week.
Yeah,
massive week.
I think you got to get 4 out of 8 just to keep pace with the, because there's not just 1 or 2 teams surging. There's about 6, 8 teams absolutely on heaters right now.
And keep in mind, right now we're in first. But Tampa's got 3 games in hand on us, and they win those 3, and they're in first.
That's a big one against Tampa. That's probably the biggest one of the week.
Huge.
Yeah. And Montreal, you can really put a. I still don't believe in that team. I think they're riding a hot hand right now.
But John, you always know it does not matter if Montreal's in last place. When they play us, they're always ready to go. And it's going to be Saturday night. It's going to be hockey night in Canada. They're going to be prime time. I just listen, I hope to hell you're right and I'm wrong. I want that more than anything in the world here.
I mean, we'll see. It's it's going to be a fun week regardless. I think there's some entertaining games ahead. You're going to see some nice good teams come in here, or play the Leafs. I mean, Tampa, you've got Kucherov and Vasilevsky in your lineup. Braden Point, that team's going to show up every night. Right?
And listen, for those people that don't necessarily watch a lot of Dallas Stars hockey, I picked Dallas at the beginning of the year to win the Cup. Watch this Dallas team. This Dallas team is fantastic. And if Jake Ottinger, who's their goalie, is on the money, there's nobody better than Ottinger. When he's on, he's fantastic. We'll watch for the better Robertson brother tonight. I'd expect Nick Robertson to have a good game tonight. He always plays well against his brother. So maybe Nick
Robertson been in for a while too.
Yeah,
right? Getting comfortable, and he's done a good job. So
cool.
All right. That it?
Yeah, that's it. So thank you to Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Grill, and thanks everybody for listening. And we'll see you next week. Go Leafs, go!